Hello, welcome to Diamonds in the Rough, where the unpopular opinion is made popular. I am not Theorzette, because he's currently serving time in prison for actually liking Attack of the Clones. Now, we were going to review Friday the 13th Part 7, but that movie's a huge piece of garbage. So what we will be reviewing today is the always amazing cult classic, The Boondocks Fate.
Hello and welcome to Diamonds in the Rough, where the unpopular opinion is made popular. I'm Jason, and today we're going to be reviewing Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Now, this episode's going to be a little bit different from the previous two Diamonds in the Rough episodes, apart from the fact that this movie's being reviewed by a serial killer, but beyond that, this film is more forgotten than outright hated, like Attack of the Clones or Spawn War. But to be honest, even that's an injustice, as Friday the 13th Part 7 is honestly, in my opinion, the second best film in the whole franchise. Easily.
I'll be honest, I thought my first film was awful. Like, probably the second worst in franchise history. And I know I'll have some people who say, "Oh no, you just hate it because Jason wasn't the killer." No. Pamela Voorhees as the killer was probably the only good thing to come out of that film. She's arguably scarier than I am due to Betsy Palmer's excellent performance, and the twist is genuinely unexpected. Apart from that, it's a cheap, terribly acted bore with horrible characters and very little imagination. Part 2 was released just a year after the original, and by God is it horrible.
Well, maybe not that horrible, but still pretty bad.
Just like the original, it was full of unlikable characters and terrible acting, plus a cringeworthy first appearance by yours truly wearing a flour sack on my head.
Call it a rookie slump.
A year later, Part 3 was released, and finally it looked like things were getting on track. There were still a couple of lame characters and bad performances, but we got some really likable and strong ones too. The film also did a good job of balancing effective humor with genuine scares, and made the very wise decision of ditching the flour sack for my iconic hockey mask. Part 4 came out a year after that and was similarly solid. The acting and drama had improved vastly from the previous film, and it upped the suspense by focusing on a child protagonist. The infamous Part 5 is released the next year, and well, not good. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of the fans claim. It's certainly better than Parts 1 and 2. The film's mostly stupid and cheesy, but John Shepherd gives a great lead performance, and the film at least makes an attempt to develop its characters. Reggie's one of the best characters in the whole franchise, and the first black character to survive a Friday film.
Hooray for progressiveness!
The next year we got Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and it is borderline perfect. The acting is fantastic across the board, all the characters are likable, the humor is witty, my kills are creative, the scares are intense, the cinematography is outstanding, the romance is adorable, the character development is astounding. Part 6, Jason Lives, is often regarded as the best in the series by fans, and I agree! Not only is it the best in the series, I consider it the best slasher of all time, and the gold standard of the genre.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, I actually do have some popular opinions. I don't just like things that are hated to get hate.
2 years later, we got Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, and while it's not as good as Part 6, it gives Jason Lives a surprising run for its money, something none of the other Friday films have ever been capable of doing. With likable characters, strong performances, effective directing, and fantastic kills, The New Blood truly is a forgotten gem and is well deserving of the Diamonds in the Rough treatment.
So let's take a jog through Camp Crystal Lake, because this is Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood.
So we start off with a trailer for Jason Lives, for some reason. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea why this is here. It's pretty safe to assume most people watching Part 7 have already seen Part 6, so they don't really need this unnecessary recap of events. It's not even like the film was a flop that nobody remembered. Even at the time, it was largely regarded as a hit with fans. After that's over, we progress to the longest opening credits since Spawn, only instead of an awesome dance rock collab, we get the same 6 chords being played over and over.
I mean, come on, that's Will Walker levels of lazy.
We cut to a little telekinetic girl named Tina who witnesses her mother being slapped by her dad, resulting in her taking her family boat out in anger. Her father runs out to try and smooth things over, but it doesn't go well.
Tina, don't! Please, honey, come back!
You hit Mom again! Tina! Tina! I hate you! Go away!
Please, baby, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to!
Go away! I hate you! I wish you were dead!
Because she has no idea how to control her powers, her wish is a kind of monkey's paw effect, as she accidentally topples the bridge her father was standing on, drowning him in the process. We cut to 10 years later as she's grown into, someone who looks nothing like Tina, played by Lar Park Lincoln. Like, she doesn't look like her at all. It's actually kind of jarring. Anyways, it turns out that Tina's headed back to Crystal Lake with her mother, played by Susan Blue, as a kind of therapy after being released from a mental hospital. Tina's less than excited for the visit, in large part due to her creepy doctor, Dr. Cruz, played by the very underrated Terry Kaiser.
Bad news, Cruz.
Tina.
I love how snarky and fun Lara Park-Lincoln made this character. I think a lot of actresses would have played Tina as overly shy and introverted and creepy, all unfortunate stereotypes at the time for on-screen psychics and telekinetics, but Park-Lincoln doesn't. She just plays her as a witty, likable, charismatic teenage girl with an awkward side. It turns out that Tina isn't alone, as it seems, as a small party of teenagers have shown up, waiting to throw a surprise party for their friend Michael.
He's dead. What do you want me to say?
She has a little meet-cute with Philadelphia hunk Nick, played by Kevin Spurtis, who makes himself look like a giant perv cleaning up her underwear.
Let me help.
No, that's all right. I
No,
can do
really,
it.
here.
No, really.
No, it's no problem. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Here.
Thanks. You've been a great help. I don't know what I would have done without you.
Great asshole.
Hey, could have been worse. Could have been this guy.
Wow, what a ripoff. My friends told me it was chewing gum. I thought...
Remind me to review that film at some point. It's actually pretty alright.
We cut back to Dr. Cruz as he tries to help Tina control her powers. And for a Friday the 13th film, this is actually a surprisingly deep and well-executed scene.
Is that really necessary?
With the camera? I just want to keep track of our progress, all right? Now, let's get back to work, all right? Tina, look at me. See this matchbook? I'm going to set it on the desk here. I want you to concentrate. I want you to think about your feelings and just focus them in on the matchbook. Maybe we can get it to move. You're not trying, Tina.
Yes, I am.
Think about it moving and make it move.
I can't. I told you I don't know how it happens. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't happen.
And you're lying to me. You are lying because it happens when your emotions are at their peak. Come on, you're holding back. Concentrate. Concentrate, Tina.
I love everything about this scene.
First of all, the acting from both parties is excellent. Lara Park-Lincoln does a phenomenal job showing the anxiety, frustration, and balled-up rage of the character, while never going cartoonish or over the top. Kaiser is similarly effective. He's truly creepy and manipulative in his role, but in a rather subtle way. This is a character that I feel a lot of actors would have hammed up, but Kaiser plays his creepiness and manipulation rather subtle, and he's all the more interesting for it. I also really love the commentary this film gives us on modern psychiatry, how a lot of mental doctors, even today, manipulate the pain and mental suffering of their patients for fame, glory, and personal gain. Tina is clearly being used for her abilities and is being treated like a test subject more than an actual human being in need of help, something that tragically does happen a lot to mental patients in real life. The fact that Dr. Cruz uses the traumatic death of her father as an excuse is even sicker, and again, something that many mental doctors unfortunately still do. And I love how despite Cruz's manipulative nature, Tina is still smart enough to see right through his excuses.
Also, this dialogue after she moves the notepad is incredible.
Now, what did you do? What went through your mind?
I was thinking about you.
Seriously. Awesome.
Tina eventually gets so uncomfortable with Kaiser's abusive bullshit that she decides to walk to the lake to ruminate. And again, her acting is tremendous.
I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm so sorry.
If anyone tries to tell you she isn't one of the best slasher lead performances ever, they're a liar.
And you could tell him Derek Savage, say, you're a liar.
Because Tina's powers are at their strongest at the peak of her emotions, she manages to resurrect someone from the depths of the lake. But instead of her father, it turns out to be me. And my opening couldn't possibly be more badass. Actor Kane Hodder does a phenomenal job in the role right from the get-go, and the change from immobile corpse to live monster is genuinely shocking and intense. The directing is incredible too, and Jason's leap from the lake is a truly jaw-dropping moment, as is his slow walk out of the water. And do I even have to compliment the makeup? Well, I'm going to anyway. It's masterful! Tina passes out on the docks and is later questioned by her mother and Dr. Cruz exactly what happened.
Dr. Cruz, I saw him, but I can't describe him.
What? What the hell are you talking about? I'm a big, rotting, roided-up dude in a hockey mask. How is that hard to describe? What, do you just see people walking around on the street like that? Is that a fucking fashion statement of the late 80s or something?
So Nick visits Tina to more properly introduce himself and to invite her to the surprise party for his brother Michael. But Dr. Cruz doesn't approve.
Where'd she go? Who's that boy?
Oh, relax, Dr. Cruz. She's just going to visit the kids next door.
But I thought we agreed no distractions. I mean, I'd hate to send her back to the hospital.
Christ, shut up! You are literally everything wrong with this world. I need to do something nasty when we get to your kill.
So we cut back to me as I'm stalking the aforementioned Michael on his way to his birthday party. And for some reason, Michael looks like a young Jim Carrey. This one's for Burt Wonderstone, motherfucker! So after I punish Jim Carrey for starring in Burt Wonderstone, we cut back to Tina being introduced to the other party hosts. They're a mostly likable, albeit dispatchable cast, but my two favorites have to be the sinister popular girl Melissa, played by the late Susan Jennifer Sullivan, and the hilarious sci-fi fanatic Eddie, played by Jeff Bennett. The latter is an absolute riot. Even his introduction line is hysterical.
What do you think of Starlicon? 30,000 years into the future, the entire galaxy is populated by highly evolved protozoa. Good, huh? Only one human being and his woman still exist amongst the stars.
How do you even respond to a question like that? Even with the elaborated description. In fact, I think the elaborated description makes it even more hilarious.
That being said, this line makes no sense.
We're supposed to bring our own food? He's gonna shit.
Is that a saying now?
On the bright side, I really do like how outgoing and friendly they're making Tina. Again, this could have ended up being a character that turned out really offensive and stereotypical for real-life telekinetics, but it isn't. Instead of being a telekinetic who happens to be a teenager, they make her a teenager who happens to be a telekinetic, and they don't fall in any forced or demeaning cliches. And she's all the more a likable and real character for it. Anyway, she ends up seeing a vision of Michael being killed in the woods, and unfortunately has to leave the party a bit early. Upon returning back to the house, she sees the murder weapon embedded in its side. When she goes out to show it to her mom, Dr. Cruz, however, it's nowhere to be seen.
Okay, just because the telekinetic cliches aren't here doesn't mean all the horror cliches aren't here.
We cut to a couple camping in the woods, one leaving to go gather firewood.
I'll be back.
God, what a bad joke.
Also, why the fuck does Crystal Lake allow campers to bring machetes? I always end up getting machetes and axe and hockey masks from campers and hikers. You'd think they'd have a policy against them. So we cut back to the spouse killing any chance of an acting career.
Okay, you big hunk of a man, come and get me.
Okay, you big hunk of an actor, come and outact me.
As we get the best kill in the whole series. It's not particularly bloody or gory, but god damn is it brutal. Just one swing to the tree and BAM! Badass!
Let's watch it again. No. On loop this time. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
So we cut back to the party host as we get more of Eddie stealing the show.
It was great. Derek F. Z. Sims' greatest film, The Battle of the Gargantuan Thronger, was a work of genius.
Hey, he kind of sounds like an Alien Covenant fan. It's a joke! It was a joke! It was a joke!
No, listen. The thing is, the Alien Covenant, it's just a bad movie.
You know, I was gonna kill him, but then he agreed Alien Covenant sucks, and there was already too few of us left out there.
Also, it's not just Melissa who's a grade A prick. Robin turns out to be a real asshole, too.
Has anyone seen Nick?
I think he went next door to see Marilyn Munster.
Alright, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this dickhead yet, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna involve glass.
So we cut to Tina and Nick talking, and at first the scene goes alright. The two have alright chemistry, and both actors do a decent job. But then it takes an immediate nosedive as they pretty much fall in love straight away. For no reason! Literally all we know about Nick is...
I grew up in Pittsburgh. I used to hang out with a real bad crowd. Then my dad kicked me out. And now I go to night school.
And they immediately suck face? Why? These actors work well enough off each other, so why rush this love story to such a laughable degree? It's not like these films can't do romance. I love Tommy and Megan from Part 6. I love Will and Laurie from Freddy vs. Jason. These are capable actors, so I slapped them with such a forced romance.
It really doesn't work, and there's nobody else to blame but the screenwriter. Which is a shame, because the writing for most of the movie is actually pretty good.
Unfortunately, luck is not on Tina's side. As it turns out, Melissa was watching their conversation the whole time. And my god, she is so evil. She actually uses the trauma Tina suffered at the mental hospital to bully her.
Hey, Tina, isn't this the way they wear their jackets back in the mental hospital?
For fuck's sake, this character is so hateable, she's actually kind of lovable.
I'm serious! Sometimes there are just characters in fiction we love to hate, and Melissa totally fits the bill. She's cunning, she's manipulative, she's sadistic, and she's straight up remorseless. Susan Jennifer Sullivan is just deliciously loathable in this role, without ever really going over the top, and she just exudes mean girl evil from every pore in her body. Great performance for a really fun character. Understandably traumatized, Tina ends up shattering Melissa's pearl necklace and leaving the pre-party in a fit of horror. She tells Dr. Cruz and her mom about her increased stress and anxiety, and again, Lincoln's acting is outstanding. She truly nails the paranoia, anxiety, and stress this kind of trauma triggering can cause. And I say that as somebody who's been there.
Mama, please, can we go back now? I don't want to stay here anymore.
Go back.
Mama, please.
We'll go back tomorrow morning.
And it's not even just Lincoln. Kaiser is downright ruthless in this scene, and the coldness he shows Tina is just spine-chilling.
Go back where, Tina? Look at me! Back to the hospital? We're starting to make some real progress because you are here. Do you want to throw this all away? I mean, we're at a very critical point right now. Do you want to see your daughter in the hospital for the rest of her life? Is that what you want?
Jesus! I mean, I may kill teenagers for fun, but this guy's just straight up evil!
You are evil!
Tina subconsciously throws a TV at Dr. Cruz through her telekinesis and storms out of the house before running into Nick. Nick asks what's wrong when Tina tells him that she suspects his brother Michael is dead. So anyways, I show up and kill the prep kid and the gold digger. Normally I'd have something to say, but these characters are pretty disposable, and these kills are pretty pedestrian.
Yeah, that was kind of a lame scene. Can we get more Eddie to make up for it?
King Tut rises from the tomb.
Yes! God, I love him. Do you have anything else?
I know. Star Mummy.
Yes! Yes, Eddie. Yes. Star Mummy is perfect. Never change, Eddie. Never change.
So we cut to Steve and Melissa, as Melissa admits to trauma triggering Tina earlier. And you gotta love how blatant and honest she is about how fucking evil she is.
Hi, Nick. Are you still mad at me?
What was that crap you pulled on Tina this afternoon?
That chick's crazy. Besides, all is fair in love and war.
Hell, even when Nick admits she doesn't even like Melissa, she still has the confidence of a pro.
Melissa, I don't even like you.
Like has nothing to do with it.
So Melissa decides to make Nick jealous by instead flirting with Eddie.
Are you joking?
Why would I do that?
You really think I'm cute?
Of course I do.
Since when?
I've always thought so. You've just been too blind to notice.
So, let me get this straight. The two most entertaining characters of the movie are being shit together. This film is amazing.
So we cut to Dr. Cruz as we discover that he's been in possession of the spike Tina saw in the house and has secretly been hiding it to continue his experiments with Tina.
The word I'm searching for, I can't say because there's preschool toys present.
Even after Tina's visions are confirmed by Cruz when he sees the woods of Crystal Lake lined with corpses, he still hides the spike. That's how much of a bastard he is. Luckily, his deception doesn't go unnoticed for long, as Tina's mother finds Cruz's video diaries detailing how he's been intentionally traumatizing her to bring out her psychokinetic abilities.
You bastard. You brought her here so that you could watch her perform.
Yeah, you tell him, Miss Shepard.
Tina overhears their conversation, specifically Cruz mentioning how he tends to have her committed, and drives away in her mother's car. So I end up crashing the party with a major bang, crushing this dude's head with my bare hands, and shoving a kazoo through this girl's eye. It's brutal, it's creative, it's cringeworthy, and it's fucking great. We cut back to Melissa and Eddie having sex, as it turns out that Eddie, well, isn't delivering.
Eddie. Eddie. This just isn't gonna work out.
What's the matter?
I lied.
Lied about what?
About everything. You just don't turn me on, really. Oh, come on. At least I gave you a chance. You just didn't come through.
I mean, she may be an asshole, but she does actually have a point here. A lot of mean girls wouldn't touch Eddie to scratch him, but Melissa actually gave him a chance to deliver. Gotta admit, that's kinda generous of her. Oh, and this line is hilarious.
Rejection. Okay. Fine. I can take it. I've been rejected by some of the finest science fiction magazines in the continental United States.
Eddie, where are you going?
To take a cold shower. I got a date with the soap on a rope.
So we cut back to Nick for a bit to reveal that he's found his brother's corpse, further confirming Tina's vision. Meanwhile, I killed the lights back at the party. By the way, this shot of me in the corner is actually scary as hell. It's really ominous, and most people miss it on first watch, but it really builds atmosphere and makes me a much more mysterious and haunting presence. One of the few times these movies have actually genuinely scared me. So after I stabbed this guy, we cut back to Tina and Steve, who have headed back to Tina's house. Tina finds the spike Dr. Cruz has been hiding, as well as a bunch of newspaper articles of the Crystal Lake Killer himself, me. And this brings me to another thing I really like about this film. The relationship between me and Tina. In previous movies, the relationship between me and the protagonist has either been out of revenge for a previous tragedy,
In the good movies.
or just general bad luck.
In the shit ones.
In this one, however, things are much more complicated. The antagonist in this film was less me per se, and more Camp Crystal Lake itself, and specifically Tina's traumatic past and guilt surrounding it. Me, an undying and immortal killer presiding in Crystal Lake, is more or less a manifestation of that guilt and trauma, a physical embodiment of Tina's own fear of her past concerning the camp. This makes Tina's conflict with Jason not only external, but internal as well.
These films are pretty much just dumb fun, but I have to give credit where credit's due. The New Blood added a surprising amount of psychological depth to the franchise that really goes under the radar. It really frustrates me in that regard, because this film actually goes a lot deeper than any of the other movies do.
Also, Laura Park Lincoln's facial acting when she finds out about me is outstanding. She has some really intense and evocative eyes, and they really capture the terror and panic of the character. Anyways, we cut back to Eddie as he says something that should be offensive, but isn't.
Happy birthday, Michael. You lucky son of a bitch. Many happy returns. Love, Melissa. Cunt.
God. Even when Eddie's being a sexist, entitled nice guy, I can't bring myself to hate him. That's how hilarious he is.
So change your mind or what?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna change my mind about you if you called me a cunt. I mean, I love you, Eddie, but you gotta die for that.
Oh, yeah, and remember what I said about killing Robin with something involving glass?
I'm a man of my word. Or lack of words.
So we go back to Tina's mom and Dr. Cruz is, oh my god, now he's using her as a human shield?
Is this guy a professional kitten drowner or something? Is he on an old baby diet? I mean, how can you possibly be such an asshole?
Fortunately, I managed to remedy things with by far the most satisfying kill of the movie, as I saw Dr. Cruz's fucking guts up with a tree saw!
I guess you can say he should, saw that coming. Huh? I should stick to killing people.
So Tina finds her mom dead before coming face to face with me, as she resolves to try and take me down with some nearby plant finds.
Okay, any movie with a badass, plant-manipulating heroine automatically gets a +5 points on me on principle alone.
Tina runs away to a nearby cabin as I pull off this badass jump through the window.
Can you tell my actor was a former stuntman?
Your entrance was good, his was better. The difference? Showmanship.
And I feel I might as well get this out of the way because I know I'm going to get tons of comments on this. A lot of fans out there feel that the telekinetic angle was too supernatural for the series, that it felt too gimmicky and took away from the presence.
And to all of those people, I just have to ask one small, tiny, just insignificant little thing. Just one little thing I need all of you to do for me. Have you ever tried not being a hypocrite?
First of all, telekinesis is not supernatural. People have gone back and forth for years on the plausibility of minor telekinetic abilities, and there's strong evidence either way. The likelihood is that it does exist, it's just unbelievably rare. Second of all, even if it was supernatural, what about this franchise hasn't been supernatural at this point? This entire series is about an immortal zombie Terminator who can spin people's heads 180 degrees around!
It's always been supernatural! Just like Michael Myers has always been supernatural! Fuck what John Carpenter says!
So Tina heads back to the house to find Nick and Melissa, as Nick comforts Tina after her mother's death, right before we get Melissa's best delivery in the whole film.
Fuck you. No, fuck you both!
Oh my god, you're the best. I mean, I know that's only custom for like, a couple to survive a horror movie, but maybe you could just break the rules this one time, and maybe just...
After the tragic death of a franchise icon, Tina continues to fight me back, destroying my mask to reveal my face. And this makeup job is absolutely masterful. Director John Buechler did the monster makeup himself, and it was hard work very well spent. I truly look inhuman here, and the makeup really allows for actor Kane Hodder to be really emotive with his facial expressions. Speaking of, I absolutely love how angry I am in this movie. In previous Friday the 13th movies, I was really only either lumbering and stoic or pervy and excited. But given this is the first time I faced an opponent who can fight back, this is the first time in the franchise I'm genuinely pissed. Tina sets gasoline to the house before lighting me on fire as I go out in a massive explosion caused by nothing but a teenage girl and the power of her mind.
Okay, you know what? I'm just thinking that was so badass, I might just let her live. She's, proven her strength, her intelligence, her power. She's, so much of this empowered, strong figure that I might just let her go. Maybe she's, earned her right to walk around Camp Crystal Lake without ever living in fear, living in terror that could be around every corner. She's earned her right at survival, the ultimate gift that Jason Voorhees can grant.
I'm just kidding. I try to kill her and Nick a couple minutes later before this happens.
What the fuck? No.
Now, originally, this could have worked. It could have.
In the original cut of the film, Tina resurrected her father as a zombie to drown Jason instead of a fully preserved, silently screaming human covered in dirt. And if they had gone with it, that would have been awesome and actually would have made sense. Tina's father has been there 10 years. There's no way his body would have been preserved. On top of that, I think it would have added some duality to Crystal Lake, with one benevolent zombie in Tina's father and one evil zombie in Jason. But apparently, one of the producers thought this was cheesy, and so it was edited to some screaming dirty guy. So the day is saved, Tina and Steve are carted away in the ambulance, and we hear that iconic jingle one more time.
And while this film still can't beat Part 6, it's the only film in the franchise that could ever really give it a run for its money.
The biggest strengths of the film all come down to Tina. Park Lincoln's performance is undeniably outstanding, particularly her facial acting, and the portrayal of telekinetic as a normal teenage girl next door instead of a creepy, socially impaired psycho was extremely progressive for the time. Her character arc from victim of her traumas to active fighter against them, conveyed in her conflict with Jason, was handled wonderfully. Jeff Bennett is hilarious as Eddie, and the late Susan Jennifer Sullivan was deliciously monstrous as Melissa. Terry Kaiser also gives a very subtle yet effective turn as the creepy Dr. Cruz, making him a really hateable and twisted villain without ever going for ham. The kills are brutal, creative, and absurdly fun, the practical effects and monster makeup is outstanding, and the social commentary on the corrupt nature of many mental doctors was handled quite maturely. The directing is excellent and genuinely scary at points, and Kane Hodder is perfect as Jason. He brings a real ferocity and anger to the role that we've never really seen before from a Jason actor, and he's by far the best actor to play the role. The romance in this movie is pretty pathetic, and by pretty, I mean really. The whole thing just comes across as unnecessary, forced, and rushed, which is a shame because both these actors were solid. Connected to that, Nick just isn't a very interesting character. Tina's incredibly interesting, but Nick's just kind of there. I didn't dislike him or anything, but I didn't feel as emotionally attached as I should to the character. The film's structure and pacing could also use some work too. A lot of the scenes are put in really weird areas, and the film doesn't do the best job of balancing all its characters that well and giving them all the development that they deserve. And of course, that fucking ending with Tina's dad had no right being edited.
If you're a fan of slashers and you go in with an open mind.
The New Blood has the very unfortunate distinction of being immediately succeeded by the three most notorious franchise entries. When you combine that with the fact it's generally forgotten, plus the telekinesis angle, and you get a film that a lot of people are skeptical about. But if you go into this film as a fan of the genre, hyped for one of its more underrated gems, it has a lot to offer. It will always confuse me as to how this film doesn't get more credit among the Friday the 13th fandom, as one of the best the franchise has to offer. It had a great protagonist, great villains, great effects, a great tone, great cinematography, truly an underrated gem of the genre. I'm gonna give Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, an A.
So that's Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. The second best entry in the franchise, and one of the best slashers I've ever seen. Join me next time as we take a small trip to Haddonfield, Illinois. I'm Jason.
Hey. You're not Jason, you lying bitch.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.